YouTube, it is Nessa from Nessa Aesthetics, and I am here to show you how I do my face. So in a minute, I'm going to have no makeup on whatsoever, and you're going to see the mess that I have to deal with every day. I have lots of acne, I have lots of redness, but I'm going to show you how to cover it up, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite products and products that I have used in the past to try to make myself look presentable as much as possible. But thanks for tuning in, and if you want to see how I do my base, even though it's kind of boring, stay tuned. Obviously I use a concealer because I have acne and I have a lot of redness and I have bags under my eyes and everything like that. So I used to use the Revlon Colorstay concealer, but it's a little bit dark for me. But I have it anyways because it's a good backup for clients or somebody who wants me to do their makeup that's a little bit darker than me, because not everybody is this pasty. Another concealer that I use that I kind of have like a love-hate relationship with this one, it's the Kat Von D Lockit concealer in Whiteout. It's completely white. It's a really good concealer. The only thing I don't like is it's kind of like glue, if that makes any sense. On my skin personally, it doesn't want to dry, even if I powder it, and it creases like under my eye and in my smile lines or next around my nose. It'll wear and it'll show texture. It's just not my favorite. I have really oily skin, and it did work well with my oily skin, kind of, but I don't know how it would react on other people's skin because I haven't had anybody else's skin except for mine. But all in all, this is a pretty good foundation. It works for a lot of people, just it's not my personal favorite. It's not the worst one I've tried though. It's definitely good as concealers go. The next one that I use, which is my personal favorite right now, is not gonna be a shocker. It is the Shape Tape Tarte Concealer. This is everyone's favorite right now, and I jumped on the bandwagon because it's just that good. But I use Fair, which is, I think, the lightest shade there is. It's the tiniest bit lighter than my skin tone. It kind of matches almost perfectly, which I like because I put it under my eyes and it doesn't crease on me, and if I powder it, it just looks gorgeous, and I love it so much. It just kind of looks like you put a filter over your face, except you didn't. You put concealer all over your face. For foundations, I used to use this guy right here, the True Match L'Oreal foundation. It's in W1, which is, they have W1, N1, and C1, which are warm, neutral, and cool. This is the lightest one. For some reason, the warm one is the lightest. I used to use this. It's way dark on me, like noticeably dark. Even if I blend it in and powder it and everything, it just doesn't work for me. I can wear it in the summer sometimes, or I mix it with, I have the Manic Dreamtone white foundation. This isn't good by itself, but if you mix it in with a foundation, I found that these two go really well together, and it doesn't mess with the formula. It just makes it lighter so that I can wear it without looking crazy. You can tell I've used this one a lot. It's like half gone, because that's before I found this foundation, Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless foundation, and this is the lightest drugstore foundation I have found ever so far. It's in 102. It's the lightest shade, I believe, and it matches my skin tone very, very well. I have oily skin, as I said before, and it's really matte on me, and it helps cover the pores, and I use it with Shape Tape, and it just looks really, really nice. It just gives me a very nice base so that whatever I do on top of it looks a little bit better, because your base or your canvas is nice and smooth and flawless. This guy, which is the NYX Total Control Drop Foundation, this is really sheer on me. I'm not a huge fan of it. I've only used it like once or twice. I'm gonna try using it with a different brush or something, or maybe a different concealer, but so far this is not my favorite. It just emphasizes the oil on my skin, and just, it's hard for me to work with. I really don't know. I would love to love this foundation because it's really white. It's like my skin tone, if not a little bit, like you can see in the bottle, it's a little bit lighter than my skin tone, which is amazing because I've never found one like that before. So I found another one. So the last foundation and my current favorite that I have found is not a drugstore foundation. I actually just went and bought this a couple days ago, and I have been in love with it ever since. It is the Kat Von D Lockit Foundation in Light 42 Neutral. It is the lightest shade that she carries in her foundation line. Believe it or not, this is actually a little bit dark on me. Not too noticeably, but in some lighting situations, it's a little dark. But for the most part, if I use a clear powder over it, it looks phenomenal and it is really long lasting. I was wearing it in my last video and will probably wear it for the rest of my life because this is a ginormous pump and it's gonna last me a very long time. So I start with my Tarte Shape Tape. I use a beauty blender. It's a little beat up. It's a little old. I definitely need a new one because I have used this to death. But this is the Real Techniques one. It's only like $5 at Walmart or something. It blends really nicely and it works well with most products. So I take my Shape Tape, which I'm almost out of, which is very sad. I have to go buy more. I put it under my eyes. So I just got it on my nose. Way to be professional. Perfect. So I put it on my nose. I put it on my forehead a little bit because I have a lot of acne right in the middle of my forehead for some reason. I don't know. My nose and my chin is where my foundation starts to wear the most first. So that is where I put this. I usually put it on the sides of my face because I have a lot of acne right here. And today is okay, and you can't see it with the wig anyway, so those are usually the places that I put it, other than like, okay, so I look a little crazy right now, but we are just going to blend this in. And I usually use whatever excess is left on my sponge just around my nose because you can tell it's a little red now that I've evened out most of my face. And I don't want to use a ton because it'll crease real bad. But just using that little bit right there, just even it out and made it so much better already. And we're not even done. Now I'm going to take my Kat Von D foundation because it's my new favorite and I love it so. And I'm not going to use the beauty blender with it because for some reason, for me personally, the beauty blender just doesn't really work well with this foundation. Maybe it's me, maybe it's the fact that I need a new beauty blender sponge, but I use my Morphe brush from the Gunmetal Set. I don't know exactly which brush this is. It's the big fluffy one from that set. That's all I know. There's no numbers on them, but they're so shiny and pretty. I'm gonna try to get this in the frame. I'm just gonna take a pump on it, and one pump usually does half of my face, if not more. Just go over my eyes with whatever excess is left on my brush after I'm done blending it out, because it's just a good base if I'm not wearing eyeshadow. If I am wearing eyeshadow, I avoid that eye area and then I put a primer and a powder over it. But for days where I'm just going to do something like eyeliner or just natural makeup, I just put the foundation over it and then powder it with my face powder. I'm going to use another pump on the other side of my face. I'm getting foundation all over this hat. That is wonderful. I'm going to use a little bit more for my forehead. I usually do a way better job of blending it into my hairline, but since I'm wearing a hat today, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to use this brush, which is from the same Morphe Gunmetal Set, and it's tapered, and it's really good for getting right under the eyes and in the corners of the nose to set it. I'm also going to use this one from Eco Tools. It's really good for getting powder all over my face. I know there's big fluffy brushes that you can use, but I just prefer this one because I can control exactly where I'm putting the powder. Now for powders, I used to use L'Oreal True Match to powder my face, but it looks really orange on me. It only works in the summer because I'm a little bit lighter in the winter. I also use the CoverGirl in Fair Translucent, but for this foundation, since it's already a little bit dark when it oxidizes, I use a clear one just to make sure, because this one has a little bit of pigment in it. It's a little bit darker than my skin, and I don't need any help getting it darker, so I usually use my e.l.f. powder. What is my sheer e.l.f. loose powder, and it has no pigment whatsoever. It's really good for this foundation. I just pour the powder. See, it even gives you instructions. Pour powder here. So that's what I will do. Don't get it everywhere. Try not to get it everywhere. Okay. And first I set under my eyes. Then I will set around my nose because right here likes to crease during the day, and it's not a good look. I personally don't bake because I don't want to, but you can do whatever you want. It is your face, and I can't tell you how to do it. Now I'm going to use that other brush around the rest of my face. Okay, now that we have everything powdered and set, we look like a ghost. But that's perfectly fine because that's what I was going for. And now I match my neck and I'm not covered in redness, which is great. Okay, that is it for this video. I know it was basic and I didn't really do anything exciting, but I thought I would just get my basic foundation routine out of the way so you wouldn't have to ask for it, so I could move on to just do some fun stuff and not have to worry about showing you how I do my base every single time, because I personally don't feel like filming that every time. I just want to sit down already having part of a face. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe down below and leave me a like and leave me a comment. I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Wig, work with me, please. Thank you. I got concealer on my hat, so I look crazy.